Okay, we're going to configure returning radius attributes from an external radius server for policy assignment or user profile assignment. We'll navigate to the configuration tab, select the network policy that we want to work with. Then navigate to wireless connectivity. If we already have a SSID with 802.1x set up, we can select that and use that. If not, we'll need to create a new one. Name the SSID. Select enterprise for our authentication type. And then underneath authentication settings, we need to define a radius server. In this case, we're going to be authenticating to Cisco ICE radius. So we'll select that profile. If you don't already have this created, we would hit the plus sign. And then inside of that, we would give that a name for the group name, add a new external radius server, and then fill in the name for the radius server, the IP address for the radius server, and a shared secret. And this shared secret will be defined on the Cisco ICE radius server as well. The last step to this is actually setting up the user profiles to be assigned via radius attributes. So in order to do this, we need to apply a different user profile to various clients and user groups. Once we have that checked, we'll have the ability to set up our assignment rules based off of radius attributes. Now, we don't want, let's say that we're just going to authenticate all domain users. We still want to check this box and add these assignment rules down here because we can't define a radius attribute to just the default user profile in this case. So if you don't already have your user profiles created, you'll need to create new user profiles for each group of users that you would want to authenticate. So let's say that we had teachers and students in different OU or Active Directory OUs, and we wanted to authenticate users out of each one of those. We would create a user profile for our teachers, and we would create a user profile for our students. And that's exactly what I've done here. So we'll go ahead and select both of these and assign those. You can see that we've got a VLAN defined for each. And now we need to set up the assignment rules so that as a user authenticates to Active Directory through our Cisco ICE radius server, that whenever the radius server returns an attribute, we can match it up to each one of these user profiles to assign them the right policy. To do that, we'll need to come in and create a new policy here, run a new assignment rule, give it a name, and then we want to at least select radius attributes in this case. From here, these are the three radius attributes that will need to be defined on the Cisco ICE server. So you may want to take note of these, the tunnel type being GRE, the tunnel medium type being IP, and then the pivot group ID here is going to be what's unique for each group of users that we want to authenticate. So this could be 1, this could be 10, or it could be 100. It just needs to be unique for this group of users that we want to authenticate. These attributes will also be set up in the Cisco ICE radius server and will need to match accordingly. So again, I've already created some assignment rules here, so we'll use those predefined. In this case, for the student, I've got a student access rule, and then I've got a teacher access rule for the teacher user profile as well. And we'll expand this out to see what this looks like. So now what we're saying is whenever a user authenticates and the radius server returns a radius attribute of 200 for that user, they'll be assigned into the student user profile. If I were to authenticate with a radius attribute of 100, I would be assigned into the teacher user profile. And inside of each of these profiles is where we can define a firewall policy. We could do rate limiting or QoS here as well. Availability of this, so maybe we don't want teachers or students to be able to connect during a certain period of time. We could schedule that access. We also have the ability for date and time restrictions here as well.